Tommy here, and today we're going to be talking about how to run an effective trial, okay? In B2B sales and enterprise sales, a lot of times you're going to need to run a trial for the prospect to understand, hey, does your solution indeed work for me, work for my company, work for my environment, and solve my problems, right? So there's going to be a lot of trials done, and there's really a learning curve to trials. There's things that you ought to do, things that you got to make sure that that's there for it to be effective. And it's not just throwing stuff against the wall completely, right? And you gotta, to some extent, it's always going to be a numbers game, but you want to do it in a structured way where you're setting yourself up to win. So what do I mean by that? There's a couple things that you want to make sure that you've got covered. So one is executive sponsorship. So if you're running a trial for a company, does the decision maker, does the head honcho, the guy who's going to sign the check, are they aware that you guys are doing a trial? If a senior stakeholder, the decision maker, the economic buyer, whatever you want to call it, if they're not aware of the trial, that's not a great sign, because if you just have a couple of end users testing out this trial, but you don't have anyone of authority who's going to sign off on it after the trial is done, that's not a great place to be in. So you want an executive sponsor. All that means is a senior stakeholder, basically somebody who can cut the check, somebody who can influence the check to be cut, to be involved in the trial, to know that the trial is happening, okay? Secondly, in conjunction with this is having the right champion and stakeholders involved. So you want to be engaged with somebody who is going to help you drive this deal forward. That's what a champion means. It means somebody who likes your product enough, is interested in your product enough, who's going to take your product and basically share it with everyone else in their company, share it with other people involved in the company who is related to whatever it is you're selling, and make sure that they're involved as well. So you want to make sure you have a champion and then the right stakeholders involved. All that means is just the right people from your prospect's company to be involved, who need to be involved. For example, if you're selling software, you'll probably get IT involved at some point. Whoever the other decision makers or influencers are, you want them involved, all relevant parties involved. I think you get the point. So the next thing is trial success criteria. So what do we need to hit? What metrics do we need to hit? What do we need to see out of this trial to ensure it to be a successful trial? Like if we're going into a trial with a prospect, we want to ask the prospect those questions. What would entail a successful trial? What would entail a successful trial for you, such that if we saw these results, it would make sense for you to move forward into the contract, move forward into the deal, into the agreement. And it's very clear to get those commitments up front. A clear outline of, if we see A, B, C, D, E in a trial, then if we see these things happen on the trial, then we're willing to move forward into a formal agreement, all right? The next thing, number 4, is expectation of pricing. So, obviously if you're going into trial, this is going to be somewhat of a later stage deal. It's not, the first conversation you're having with them. You've already spoken several times and you've hashed out how this is going to go. So they should have an understanding of pricing, if not specific pricing, which is not a bad idea at this point, depending on, what you're selling, what industry you're in. They should have at least a sense of, relative ballpark of where your product is priced, because if you complete the trial and they want to buy it, but it's way outside of what their budget was, then that's not a great result for either party, right? Obviously. So the next thing is expectation of go live date and next steps. And this is, goes hand in hand with understanding trial success criteria. Criteria saying, hey, if we hit these things, what are the next steps? What are the next steps? What are we going to do from here? And if we hit these things, what is the go live date going to be? When are we going to go live with this solution? When are we going to make sure that it's implemented. And once you have that line in the sand, you can use that as a finish line as you're working towards the end of the deal, getting legal contracts done, getting whatever else you might need to get done, security docs, whatever it might be. And then the next couple of things are going to be understanding of the problems, understanding of a desired solution, and understanding of what we're looking to measure. So I'll speak about these things one by one. So understanding of the problems. Obviously, if you're going on a trial, we need to understand already what problems we're looking to solve for the prospect. And then before going to the trial, we also need to understand, well, what desired solution does the prospect want? What desired outcome do they want? And how are we going to enable that or align that with our solution and trial? Lastly, having understanding of what we're looking to measure, well, that goes back to the success criteria, right? So what do we need to hit, and what are the things that we're measuring in order to hit those things? So some ways that you can actually implement this, and what I've done in the past is you can set pre-trial surveys and post-trial surveys. So if you're setting up a trial with a team, what you can do is, use something simple like a SurveyMonkey account or whatever. You can, last time I checked, they had a free account. I'm not sure if they have that still, but you can create something like a SurveyMonkey account, and then you can create questions pre-trial start, both qualitative and quantitative questions. So, what, how many hours are you spending doing this? How much money are you spending doing this? What's it costing the business right now? How much are you earning right now? These things are quantitative, measurable aspects, and then there's qualitative as well, which are the non-measurable aspects, like job satisfaction. How much easier does it make your day? What peripheral benefits? How does it affect morale? Stuff like that. Whatever it might be. There's qualitative and quantitative, and you can collect that pre-trial start. And then at the end of the trial, you can send out the survey to the team again, whoever was involved in the trial, and then collect that data, quantitative and qualitative, at the end of the trial, again solidifying, what team members are saying about your product and how they love it, how it's helped them, both from a qualitative and quantitative aspect, all right? So hope you guys got value out of this video. It's important to structure trials tightly and be very clear on what we're looking to get, and if we get those results, what's going to happen next, okay? Hope you guys got value out of this, and I will see you guys soon.